Don't I know you? Aren't you that Mr. Nitz?
Nietzsche. Nietzsche! You see, no one gets my name right.
What's up, eh?
I'm wondering.
Well, we all wonder from time to time.
People don't like me. They say I inspired Hitler.
And it did, didn't it?
I was misunderstood, don't you know?
I never understood who Alice was.
Huh?
Deutschland über Alice?
Imbecile!
Anyway, my name's Plato.
What? The Plato from the Academy?
The one and only, at your service.
Didn't you once say, a wise man speaks because he has something to say? A fool speaks because he has to say something?
Ouch, that hurts. I certainly did, mate. And didn't he once say, women, they make the highs higher and the lows more frequent. You can't beat a good Sheila or an Aphrodite.
A rare jocular moment.
When you say that people don't understand you, maybe you're just seeing something that isn't actually there, like an illusion. So what's your first name, Bruce?
It's Friedrich. Friedrich!
Okay, Freddie, I'll get around it. Okay, let me tell you the story about a cave.
Oh no, not the cave.
It's in my book, The Republic, where Socrates tells us to imagine a cave in which prisoners have been trained since childhood. They can only look one way into the rear wall. There's a fire outside the cave, and between the prisoners and the fire are the people outside moving about. But the prisoners can only see the people's shadows cast on the rear wall. To the prisoners, these shadows are their reality. One day, the prisoner escaped and saw the light of the world outside, and he realized that the world he had been living in was a world of illusion. So he went back inside to spread the news to his mates.
What happened next?
They killed him.
You just ruined it for me. It reminds me of the death of Socrates himself and Christ.
Well, it's not all bad news.
Okay, then give me some good news.
Right. Imagine that you're suffering from depression, and all you see are dark shadows, and there is no light and no way out.
So, I'm in the cave, I don't want to see the light and get killed?
Nah, silly. We can always forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is where men are afraid of the light.
So we confront our demons? Without confronting our pain and suffering, we won't find fulfillment.
Jeez, every time I look in the mirror I confront my pain. Okay, so where would you go? Who would you approach?
Someone to talk to. A counsellor, maybe?
Now we're getting somewhere.
I want to try to understand what is happening to me and why nobody ever listens to me.
So, as a philosopher, would you seek out a philosophical counsellor? Someone who could help you to explore and comprehend aspects of your beliefs or worldviews? To discuss emotions, assertiveness, meaning of life, etc.?
You mean one of those la-di-da bloody truth seekers? One thing you and I have in common, Mr. Plato, is that there are no truths, only interpretations.
An example?
Okay. Say understanding good and evil. Like your ideal good, your God. You say there is one goodness for all. I say that what is good for one person might be evil for another. Say you have a landowner who owns plenty of livestock, but his farmers are starving. The landowner would say it was evil for a farm worker to stop and steal a sheep, but the farm worker would argue that by feeding his family, he had done a good deed. So good is relative and can depend on your social standing or circumstances.
What man should prize above all else is whether in doing anything he is doing right or wrong. So if someone steals from you, which of you is the worse off?
Okay. Me, because he's stolen maybe my bicycle and now I have to walk home.
But aren't you in a better position because it is more shameful to inflict wrong than to suffer wrong? The thief should control his desires and appetite and live a virtuous life.
But this man might be influenced by the herd mentality and has not yet freed himself from to become a leader. His courage, imagination and creativity are the real virtues that elevate him from the mediocrity of the herd.
A virtuous man is a moderate man.
And I say that the good man honours everything that he finds in himself and forms his own laws and values. We must create our own morality.
Okay, so imagine I'm your counsellor. What would you expect from me?
I'd want to talk about making sense of my existence, my pursuit of happiness, whatever that is. Who I am and what do I know and where am I going? I believe in seeking knowledge and sharing knowledge. I would want to discuss what it means to be alive, my possibilities, my responsibilities to myself and others, and we could examine my underlying assumptions. And he'd have to respect my autonomy.
Ah, man, a being in search of meaning.
Precisely, like your prisoner and my Zarathustra, who came down from the mountain having seen the light. He was a romantic too, and misunderstood. He taught the will to power, which was to live a meaningful life, overcome one's mediocrity, and death to nihilism, the Superman. My counsellor would need to challenge me. We might have to do battle to really suffer, to emerge victorious in the knowledge that pushing one's own boundaries to the nth degree and beyond is everything.
Isn't that what Hitler did?
I was misunderstood.
Still, I bet you sold a lot of books during the war. Now, listen to this. This is really deep. I exhort you to take part in the great combat, which is the combat of life, and greater than every other earthly conflict. You're out.
God is dead. I know you love your God and all goodness, but that's what I despise. All the weak people cringing before their God with their shallow theology, their herd mentality shackled to the church with the hope of passing into an eternal afterlife and living under the threat of damnation should they transgress. They bow and scrape and plead for special favours. It's demeaning, disgraceful, dishonest, despicable. Long live the Superman, he who rises above mediocrity and has faith in himself. His existence and potential is his own God. This is what I call the will to power, the drive to do this. Most people accept without question the morality of their society. I say that each individual has the will to adopt different laws and morals for himself.
Hitler again, or anarchy?
I was told.
Let me tell you about the Republic. It's my utopia. It's made up of three classes: the rulers, the guardians, and the producers.
Hold on, that sounds like a hierarchical system, run by the elitists, which includes you, and protected by soldiers who also keep the proletariat in line. It's communism gone wrong. It's only your utopia and nobody else's.
I'm afraid, dear Freddie, that we're both elitists. But I also use my republic as a metaphor for the human tripartite body. Like when Freud talks about the ego, the secret ego and the id, the rulers, the ego, the rational bit, the guardians, the superego, the enforcer bit, and the producers, the id, the appetite. So the ego moderates or balances the superego and the id.
Or tries to. What happens when the id is not controlled? Revolution!
Hence the need to seek counselling.
It sounds like a daily proverbial power struggle, keeping the people under control.
Yeah, stay with it, you might learn something.
And the church has a lot to answer for. I've seen through the misuse of power in the name of religion.
The measure of a man is what he does with power. I'm a rationalist. I can learn the truth without needing to experience it.
But because you can know the truth doesn't mean you do know the truth. All this rubbish about living in a real world and an imaginary world, there is one world and one person, and that is you. And when you die, that is the end. I entirely reject all this dualism bollocks by you and that bloke Des, what's his name?
Good call.
Nine!
Now Descartes.
Bloody awesome cart. What you need to do is make the best of being alive. Anyway, you know what your trouble is?
What's my trouble?
You're not living in the real world. So tell me about your ideal world.
I see the world as made up of ideals or forms.
Whose archetypes?
Yes, someone else I've influenced. Everything that exists is an imperfect copy of an ideal. I want to understand what an ideal world is like, to teach others to recognise it and regulate their lives and thoughts in accordance with it.
Regulate? Bollocks! You want to regulate the people. The individual has always had to struggle from being overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try it, you may be lonely often and sometimes frightened, but no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself.
Oh, have faith, Freddie.
Faith is not wanting to know what is true. For example, you still think the bloody earth is flat. You're the one who needs counselling, not me. We're looking here at the uniqueness of the individual. Can you imagine a counsellor saying to someone, "You're not unique, you're just part of the herd"? He should say, focus on the present, the here and now, your individuality and what you are becoming. Concentrate on your own self-awareness. Expand it. Am I losing you?
Yeah, sounds rather existential.
Because it bloody well is. It's not designed to cure people, but it helps the client to reflect and search for value, meaning and harmony in their life.
So, the therapist would assume that once one becomes self-aware, the client can examine new ways of dealing with problems and be able to make choices and decisions.
Now you're getting the picture.
Just remember, I'm more famous than you.
What does fame mean if you're a blockhead?
What a nice man you are, Bruce, and we were getting along so well.
It's Friedrich! Friedrich!
So, this existential approach to therapy is not a scientific approach.
Existential therapy, and for that matter the person-centered approach, to assist the client in experiencing self-exploration, to identify problems and have an increased awareness and understanding of feelings, behaviours and attitudes. These philosophical and humanistic therapies offer a phenomenological approach to a person without buggering about with the past and the bloody ego and superego, and offer a view of the whole person in the now.
So we're not blaming all one's problems on past experiences.
No, we're saying we want people to take responsibility for their lives and stop deceiving themselves and become more active in the therapeutic process. What do you think?
Well, I'm still waiting for Mr. Copernicus to come along. You were right-handed? I thought you were left-handed.
Well, it's something else you've learned.
So, do you do everything right-handed?
Yes?
What? Everything?
Yes.
One for the right?